And hello, everybody, and welcome to Sports Hits with Cwit. Happy to have you here today. Got a great show planned for you guys, so stick around. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Steel City Sport 4, Steel City Sport 4, to get caught up with all the news, and we'll give you some hot takes on there. So let's get started, but first, hit the music.
Yeah, you know what it is. Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. Yeah, you know what it is. Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. Yeah, you know what it is. Everything I do it big. Yeah, screaming last night when I pulled off the lot. That's done. Reppin' my town. When you see me, you know everything. Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. I put it down from the whip to my diamonds. I'm in black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow.
Alright, everybody, and welcome back to Sports Hits with Cwit. So, my beloved Pittsburgh Steelers fell short to the Cleveland Browns. The final score of this game was 21-7. It was a sloppy game. Let's just get that out of the way. Both teams did not play fairly well. The Steelers' defense held their own and held the Browns to 21 points with how bad the Steelers' offense looked out there. And the Browns' defense played fairly well, and the Browns' offense couldn't capitalize on their defensive chances that they were given, especially in the first and second half with all those missed field goals and anything. This game could have easily been 27-7 Browns, but their field goal kicker missed a couple of kicks. So I'm going to get through the stats. I'm going to go through every player, most of the players, pardon me. But starting with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mason Rudolph threw it 44 times, and if you told me at the beginning of the year Mason Rudolph would be the starter week 12, and he would throw the ball 44 times against the Browns in the Thursday night game where Buck and Aikman are calling this, you would have called me crazy, and I probably am right now. But, yeah, he threw it 44 times. He had 221 yards. He had a touchdown to Samuels, which was nice. But he had 4 interceptions. You're not going to win football games with 4 interceptions, period. Whether how good your defense plays or not, you're not going to win a game with 4 interceptions, so that is unacceptable for Mason. I'll get to the fight in a little bit. But Mason didn't play his best ball, but he has the Bengals coming up, so I think it could be a good bounce back week for Mason Rudolph, and hopefully the Steelers offense gets a lot healthier. Yeah. So Pittsburgh rushing, Jalen Samuels led the Steelers with 5 carries and 26 yards. He did have a pass-catching touchdown, but obviously that does not count for rushing. He was our highest back, only scoring 26 yards. James Conner obviously went down due to that shoulder injury, but this run offense needs to get better, and they need to get better now. If you ask Mike Tomlin, what do you don't worry about on offense, he's going to say the offensive line. This offensive line has been atrocious, and they're not really helping Mason out. Their run offense has not been good. When Big Ben went down and we acquired Minkah Fitzpatrick, what did people think? We didn't think Mason was going to throw the ball 44 times. We thought we were going to pound the rock, wear him down, let that defense game plan a little bit more. But no, we're throwing it 44 times week 11, and all Steelers fans are pissed about it. 26 yards is all you could get? This offensive line needs to get better, and they need to get better now. All right, receiving, James Washington played okay. He had 3 receptions for 49 yards with a long of 22. He had 5 targets on the game. He played okay. Vance McDonald, 3 receptions for 33 yards. He had 7 targets. Trey Edmonds, 3 receptions, 27 yards. He had 3 targets. Tevin Jones, my guy, probably didn't even know the plays out there. It seems like he was asking Washington all the time. I mean, he was just signed from the practice squad the other day, so can't relate that much to him. But he had 2 receptions, 24 yards. Juju Smith-Schuster had obviously went down with a concussion and a knee injury. He had 2 receptions, 21 yards with 4 targets as well. Jalen Samuels, 5 receptions, 19 yards, and obviously that touchdown I talked to you guys earlier about. Johnny Holton, this guy cannot catch the ball. He had a couple touchdown opportunities or even big play opportunities, but it seems like he's got butter for hands. This guy cannot catch the ball at all. And what do you expect from him? He was probably going into the season thinking, I'm going to try and get a job. And then week 11, he's a starting wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of the most prized franchises out there. So you can't blame him all, but he's got to make plays or else he should not remain on the team, in my opinion. Deontay Johnson had 2 receptions for 17 yards. Obviously, he went down to a very sincere concussion injury. The Browns defense has just played dirty all year, and then to go for the head, I think is absolutely like you can't do that. Like it's absolutely disgusting what this Browns team has done all year, and especially what they did to the Steelers receivers, taking out arguably their 2 best receivers in Juju Smith-Schuster and Deontay Johnson in the same game. But Nick Vannett, newly acquired Seattle Seahawks, he's been okay. Nothing special. We had 1 reception for 7 yards, and then obviously James Conner had 1 reception for 6 yards. So moving down we go to defense. Javon Hargrave led the defense with 9 total tackles. I'm impressed with what he did Thursday night. 2 tackles for loss, 7 solo tackles. Good round stuffer. Thought our defense played up the par on Thursday night. Cam Hayward had 6 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 5 solo tackles. Vince Williams had 5 tackles overall. Devin Bush, a little bit of a decline from him, but he's still 21 years old, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry about this guy at all. Mike Hilton, 4 tackles. Bud Dupree, 4 tackles. And no sacks. Steven Nelson, 4 tackles. TJ Watt had a sack, so he's been playing well. And actually, Mason Rudolph had 2 tackles, which tells you how dysfunctional our offense is. And then Boswell missed I think it was a 40-something yard field goal. Obviously, Barry couldn't hang on to the hold, so that affected Boswell's kick. Barry was upset at himself afterwards. You have to blame Barry, but that's costly. 3 points with momentum in the Browns' favor could have changed the mood a little bit, and they got good field position. I think they scored on that upcoming possession. But we're going to get to the team that did score more points, the Cleveland Browns. They scored 21, leading the way. Baker Mayfield, 32 passes, 17 completions, 193 yards, and 2 touchdowns for the Baker. Nick Chubb had 27 carries and 92 yards with a long of 12 yards and no touchdown. I'm impressed with what these two players did Thursday. Baker held his own in the pocket. He didn't have a lot of time, so he had to scramble. I really like this guy on the run. He can throw it. He's accurate. He rarely makes a lot of mistakes. But Baker, it's not your fault, my guy. It's your offensive line and what that John Dorsey has been going for talent over needs. But Baker did burn us on Thursday night, but he didn't burn us. He did in the first half, and especially the first possession. But the Steelers defense has to get to this guy. They may even put a spy on Baker. And obviously, Baker's not gonna wow you with his legs, but he can move out the pocket. He's decently athletic for an NFL quarterback these days. He's going to run out of pocket and make the much-needed throws downfield to all of his playmakers, including Odell Beckham Jr., Kareem Hunt, Jarvis Landry, all those guys. Speaking of Odell Beckham Jr., he had 4 receptions, 60 yards, he had a touchdown called back. This guy seems like they're making him more vocal in the offense. He had 10 targets. I think that's a season high. Don't fact check me. He had a long 42 yards. That's the touchdown pass that got overturned. And Kareem Hunt seems to be the most dynamic player in this Browns offense. They use him in the backfield. They use him as a receiver, as they did on Thursday night. 6 receptions for 46 yards with a long of 20 yards and 8 targets from Mr. Hunt. Jarvis Landry had 4 receptions, 43 yards, and a touchdown with a long of 25 yards. Kadell Hodge, 1 reception, 41 yards, and so on and so on. Impressed with what this Cleveland offense did, but they didn't play their best. They weren't up to par thanks to their defense, which I'm going to get to in a minute. They didn't play their best, but they scored 21 points, and that was good enough to win them the game. Joe Sherbert led the Cleveland defense on tackles. He had 10 total tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and even a sack thrown in there. 7 solo tackles from Mr. Sherbert. This guy was a sideline to sideline thumper. He seemed to be up in the run game. So fair play to Mr. Sherbert. He was a Pro Bowler a couple years ago. This guy is fantastic on the defense. And then the rookie, Greedy Williams, the corner, had a couple PI calls called on him, but he ended up with 7 tackles, 6 solo tackles, and 1 tackled for loss. Next best is Morgan Burnett. He had 5 tackles, 3 tackles over solo tackles, and 1 tackle for loss. Morgan Burnett did go down to a ruptured Achilles, so his season is over. Big loss for this Browns secondary, especially with Demarius Randall going out for targeting earlier in the game. This Browns team has to adjust with all that young talent they have in the secondary, and their fairly easy schedule coming up. It won't be the biggest things that you should worry about as a Browns fan. So my next topic, I'm gonna talk about. It was 8 seconds left, and you all saw it. I don't have to explain what happened, but basically, Mason Rudolph and Myles Garrett got into a little altercation. I'm not going to go into the details on what I think, but I'm just going to give you right now, both teams should be embarrassed. I mean, both the Steelers and the Browns should be embarrassed. This game is going out to millions online, and maybe even little kids, and that's what you put out there. A fight, a guy who swings a helmet. That's what you're putting out there. Suspensions were made because of this. Obviously, Mason Rudolph did not get suspended at all. Myles Garrett is suspended for the season and maybe even more. He decided to take a second look at that suspension, and it was upheld, so he's out for the year. Marquise Pouncey, obviously, you can't really blame Pouncey. I mean, if a guy's standing there and he swung a helmet at your quarterback, you're not gonna stand there and look at the ref and say throw a flag. You're obviously gonna go out with this guy. I love what Pouncey did. He's protecting his quarterback. He's sending in a message to the NFL that they don't mess with our rookie quarterback Mason Rudolph. Pouncey got a 3-game suspension, but he made the NFL look over it again, and it got reduced to 1 game, so it's now a 2-game suspension for Marquise Pouncey. He will miss the second Browns game coming up. Mason Rudolph did not get suspended at all. He got fined $35,000, I think. And this is what if I could one word to define this little altercation that happened, it's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed to be a Steelers fan right now. That fight was so embarrassing for the Steelers organization and the Browns organization. This game went out to millions, and that's what you put out, especially with 8 seconds left, and the game is over. The game is over. The game is over, and you put that out there. All right, I'm going to move to the next topic. Freddie Kitchens does not have control of that locker room, but maybe after this incident, he does. Listen, I wasn't really high on Freddie Kitchens coming in. Obviously, he was a running backs coach last year, promoted to offense coordinator. Now, in the offseason, John Dorsey, Cleveland Browns general manager, promoted this guy to the head coach, and he's fairly young. He's really inexperienced, but he's not really controlling this locker room the way you would think about it. I mean, when you have a guy who throws their helmet at a opposing quarterback and you say you have that locker room under control, this team is so undisciplined. They were targeting the Steelers, especially the wide receivers. They didn't have to hit Juju. They didn't have to hit Deontay, but they did. And they called penalties, and they got ejections. And I think it's utterly disrespectful what this Browns team is doing. Freddie Kitchens should be ashamed of himself and the organization. It's just, he doesn't have control. I'm sorry. He doesn't have control of that locker room whatsoever. Obviously, the Steelers had some boo-boos on Thursday night. Starting first with the man, the myth, the legend, Juju Smith-Schuster went down with a concussion. He was knocked out for a little bit, I think, but was able to walk off the field on his own hand. Was out for the rest of the game. I think that was in the second quarter. He also is dealing with a knee injury. His status is doubtful for Sunday against the Bengals. Deontay Johnson also had a concussion. His status is uncertain. If he feels good, he'll play. I don't know if he cleared the concussion protocol yet, so it's a 50-50 chance this guy plays or this guy doesn't. Artie Burns suffered a leg injury. Artie Burns, not really talking to this guy on defense, but he is a fairly good special teams player. So it's hard to see him go down with all the boo-boos we've had this year. Benny Snell Jr., he didn't get hurt Thursday night, but he is likely to be back, and this is a big addition for the Steelers. Clear up that running back depth at for the Steelers this week. Ola Adadaway, he suffered a concussion on the first drive of the game for special teams. He practiced full on Thursday, so I think it's a good thing this guy goes. Artie Burns was limited on Thursday. Mark Barron was non-injury related. He practiced full. Bud Dupree suffered a tricep injury. He was full on Thursday. Nick Vannett had an illness. He was full. Vance McDonald, non-injury related. He was full. Ramon Foster, non-injury related. He did not practice, but his status, he will likely play on Sunday. So we're going to take a break. 30 from the hour. Sports Hits with Cwit returns after this message. And welcome back to Sports Hits with Cwit. From the AFC North division rival, the Steelers and Browns goes to both of their rivals, actually. The Baltimore Ravens had an, let's just say, impressive win this past Sunday. They defeated the Houston Texans 41-7. This offense is so dynamic with Lamar Jackson, the former Heisman Trophy winner himself, has been absolutely amazing this year. Front runner for the MVP, in my opinion, just in front of Russell Wilson. Not much of a big gap there, but I keep saying Deshaun Watson. Lamar Jackson is not very far off from Russell Wilson. I'm saying this because Lamar Jackson is a second-year player, and Russell Wilson is probably an eighth-year player in this league, but this Ravens team, they are legit. They got great coaches, a top-5 coach. In my opinion, John Harbaugh has done a fantastic job. He's really, dipped what the style is. He got dynamic quarterback. He's running the run-first offense down there in Baltimore, got all those big boys fired up. And they're a highly motivated football team. They feel like they got slept on last playoff after losing to the Chargers, but they have came out and they gotten off to one of their best starts, 8-2. They said goodbye to Joe Flacco, which I bet was hard to do for John Harbaugh. He is a Super Bowl champion and a Super Bowl MVP, but they replaced him with the rookie, second-year player Lamar Jackson. Very dynamic, not the best thrower, but he will develop as time goes by. This guy with his legs is absolutely phenomenal. I think he's better than his legs than Michael Vick. Obviously, I haven't seen all of Michael Vick as I was so young to watch him. But from what the highlights I saw, Lamar Jackson is much more explosive. He's basically a Heisman Trophy winner in the NFL, which is hard to say. But this guy has been absolutely phenomenal this year. And this Ravens team, this might be the Super Bowl pick. Obviously, you can't rule out Coach Belichick and the Patriots, but they beat him last time. But Belichick's going to use a different plan in the playoffs. You guys will watch it, but this John Harbaugh can definitely give Bill Belichick a run for my money. you could argue John Harbaugh is the second best coach in the league. I'll save that for another episode, though. He is phenomenal. He turned around that offense, and he is rewarded with an 8-2 start through 11 games. Obviously, another quarterback had it was Colin Kaepernick. Obviously, I'm not going to go through all the controversy. I'm not that kind of guy, but he held a tryout. Obviously, he's been out of the league a couple years now, but this guy he's maybe a little washed, but he held a tryout this past weekend in Atlanta. And is it a publicity stunt? I don't know. But I think this guy could easily get a job somewhere. Maybe not a starter, but maybe a backup if you think about it. But this guy, he was good with the 49ers, but he maybe a little past his time. But I don't think the Steelers should sign this guy with all those rumors going out there when Big Ben went down. They should sign Colin Kaepernick. I mean, we already gave a first-round grade on Mason Rudolph, so when you're 11 games through and he's coming off a 4 interceptions game, the worst thing to do is to bench this guy and make his confidence go way down. And also, the Steelers model themselves as the usual is the usual. So why they say they want drama and all the drama out of the locker room. So if you got a guy who kneeled for the national anthem, why sign him when you just got rid of the toxic Antonio Brown and the toxic Le'Veon Bell? That just doesn't make sense to me. Pittsburgh fans and the media should stop this rumor. First of all, we'll take down Mason Rudolph's confidence, which you already gave a first-round grade on. He hasn't lived up to expectation, but he's still in his second year. This guy might be the future. And we might not get another shot till Ben retires to see this guy play. So it's a good tryout year for Mason. So I don't think that it would be the best time to sign Colin Kaepernick, especially if you're the Steelers. I think this guy could get a backup job anywhere he wants. It's just the time and effort. I think he wants to be a starter at the end of the day. He doesn't want to sit there on the bench and look like an idiot, so he wants a starting job, and he's waiting for that, obviously. We said sign a couple times in that segment. The Chicago Bears have gotten off to a rough start this year with Super Bowl expectations coming in. They got the best defense in the league. Khalil Mack's going to have another great year. Akeem Hicks is on that defense. Mitch Trubisky is going to take the next step, where Trubisky took a step, but it was just a step down. So I'm going to give you my ideal situation for the Bears this offseason. My ideal situation for the Bears is they trade Mitchell Trubisky, get some draft capital out of him. I don't think Mitchell Trubisky is a bad player. I think he needs to be developed, but obviously he's not gotten off to the best start in his career. Him and Matt Nagy seem to not really work, but he has improved the past couple of games. But my best scenario for the Bears this offseason, they trade Mitchell Trubisky, probably get a third, maybe even a second-round pick out of him, and they sign Teddy Bridgewater. If you look at this guy, he fits the exact need of what the Bears want to do. Run the football, pound the ground, eat up the clock, and play defense. You look at their defense, they have one of the best defenses in the league. But you know why they're not good this year? Because Mitchell Trubisky and all that offense and all that dysfunctional offense keep getting 3 and outs, and they're putting their defense out there without any rest. It would be a perfect fit, a match made in heaven. Teddy Bridgewater just told the league that he is a starting quarterback in this league. He went 5-0. I know it was with the Saints, and I know they got talent, but this guy, he's good. He was good ever since he was with the Vikings. Obviously, he's had some injuries. He's had some ups and downs, but he's good. He can scramble. He's going to run the football. He's a good player, and he's only like 26. This guy could be the future. He's 27 years old. He's 27 years old. Mitch Trubisky is 25 years old. That's a 2-year difference. It's a Super Bowl caliber defense. And you want Mitchell Trubisky or Teddy Bridgewater. I think the choice is pretty obvious. You're going to take Teddy Bridgewater. So, obviously, with all these injuries, I was thinking the other night, who should the Steelers sign? And my dream, it's probably not going to come to reality, is sign Eli Rogers. Obviously, he's been in this building before. I don't know why they got rid of him in the first place. He's a great route runner. He knows the system well. He knows Coach Tomlin well. He's small. He gets in inside the outs. His ceiling is probably Julian Edelman, but he's not going to be Julian Edelman. Not that kind of talent he has, but he's a good player, and he's sitting there on the waivers begging to play for the Steelers. Speaking of begging to play for the Steelers, Terrell Pryor really wants to play for the Steelers. He's made it notice on his Instagram. He said, Kevin Colbert, let's make a deal. So Terrell Pryor, he's a big option. He's a 6'4" guy. You could throw it up to him. He's 30 years old. He's a little past his prime. He was good with the Browns. But he's a good player. Don't get me wrong about it. He really wants to play for the Steelers. He wants a second shot, obviously. He was a quarterback in college, and then he converted to a wide receiver. Ran a 4.38 at The Ohio State University. He was with the New York Jets. He was with the Jaguars. He was with the Browns, with the Redskins, with all of those guys. But he thinks he could get a shot, so why not give it to this guy? Another guy who I think should get another shot with the Steelers is Darius Hayward-Bay. I know this guy, you probably hate him, but we are in deep need of special teams. And what is this guy? Is this guy really worse than Johnny Holton? I mean, Johnny Holton cannot really catch the ball, guys. Have you not noticed that? Have you not noticed that at all? This guy is an ideal special teamer. He is very good. Very good. He's a very good special teamer. And clearly we don't see it. And then with those additions to the team, that means we'd have to cut some dudes. Cut Johnny Holton. I talked about him earlier. This guy's struggling. He's a good special teamer, good headhunter, but that's what Darius Hayward-Bay I think should come to the team for. And then another one, Tevin Jones. This guy signed from the practice squad a couple weeks ago. This guy didn't even really know the plays out there. He has pretty good size, probably 6'2", 6'2.5". But what's really the downfall if you sign Terrell Pryor at this point and cut Tevin Jones down, in my opinion? 30 from the hour of Sports Hits for Cwit returns after this message. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Sports Hits with Cwit. I'm your host, Colin Woody from Mount Lebanon. And I'm going to play a little game called Dak You Rather. It's about Dak Prescott, obviously, if you guys took a guess. But there's been a lot of hate on Dak Prescott if he deserves money. And I think this guy does much so deserve his money. He has been playing lights out this season. Obviously, their record doesn't show that, but obviously it's not the offense that's the problem. So I'm going to play a little game called Dak You Rather. I'm going to go through every quarterback in the league and tell you why Dak Prescott is better or worse than that starting quarterback. Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray. I think Dak is better than Kyler Murray. Obviously, Kyler Murray probably has a bigger future, but it's hard to be a 5'10" quarterback in this league. He does have speed to back him up, but still, he was a 2019 first overall pick from Oklahoma. I think Dak has been better than this guy this year, and I think he will have a better future than Kyler Murray overall. Matt Ryan, this one is a lot of controversy over, but Matt Ryan, since the Super Bowl run, he has not been up to par as of late, so I'm taking Dak for those reasons. I think Matt Ryan has another Super Bowl run in them, but he's got to wash up that defense and some boo-boos that they have on offense to make another Super Bowl run like they did, but failed to complete the Super Bowl run after losing to the Patriots after up 28-3 in the third quarter. The Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar Jackson is better than Dak. I think Lamar Jackson's more dynamic than Dak. If he finds an arm, look out because this is scary for this guy. His legs, he's like a college player out there. His legs are unbelievable. So I think this guy has a bright, bright future. So the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen. He was a 7th overall pick from Wyoming. He has a strong arm. He is athletic in the pocket. The accuracy isn't up to par, so I think Dak Prescott is a little bit better than this guy. I hate to say it. But Josh Allen isn't bad. He's not bad whatsoever, but I think Dak is a lot better than what Josh Allen is right now. Kyle Allen is from Houston. He's undrafted. He's a Panthers quarterback. He's done a good job, but I think Dak's a lot better than this guy, so I'm going to go with Dak Prescott. Mitchell Trubisky, I think Dak is a lot better than this guy. Obviously, this guy a little dysfunctional, a little up the par, not up the par as of late. But I don't think this guy's any bad. He still has a bright future. But I write Dak Prescott a lot better than I do than Mitchell Trubisky. Ryan Finley, this one's an easy one. I'm going to pick Dak. Baker Mayfield and Dak, this one's pretty close. I would say Baker has a bright future, but this guy can't really move out the pocket well. And what the offensive line is building in Cleveland, I'm going to take Dak Prescott to have a better career than Baker Mayfield. Brandon Allen for the Broncos. Brandon Allen, obviously Dak Prescott's better. Matthew Stafford for the Lions. He's hurt now, so it's Jeff Driscoll. We're only doing both. Dak's better than both those quarterbacks, in my opinion. Now we start to get into the what I like to call the good section. We have Aaron Rodgers from California, so I think Aaron Rodgers is a little bit better than Dak, not going to lie to you guys. Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Discount, double check, Super Bowl MVP. This guy can do it all. He's got the right coach right now with Matt LaFleur. He's been unbelievable this year. He's been doing a really good job. Deshaun Watson from Clemson. This one's close, but I'm going to take Dak because of the accuracy and the team. Deshaun Watson, he doesn't really have a good supporting cast. Obviously, besides DeAndre Hopkins, that offensive line is terrible. So I'm going to go with Dak Prescott on this one. Jacoby Brissett has impressed me this year, but he's not Dak Prescott. Jacksonville Jaguars, Nick Foles, he's okay, but he's not Dak Prescott in my opinion. Patrick Mahomes is better than Dak Prescott. This guy is outstanding what he's doing this year and last year. MVP from last year and maybe on path to a Super Bowl and maybe another MVP this year. But Phillip Rivers, this one's close. Obviously, Phillip Rivers, maybe even a future Hall of Famer, which I don't agree with at all. This guy hasn't won anything in the playoffs or even have been to a Super Bowl. But I'm going to go with Dak Prescott. It's a little bit better than Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers has declined over the couple of years. He threw 4 interceptions this past Monday night versus the Chiefs. But I don't think this guy's a bad player. He might have another Super Bowl run with that good roster down there up there in Los Angeles, but who knows what's going to happen with him. Jared Goff had a great year last year, maybe even the MVP running, but losing to Patrick Mahomes, but I think he loses this to Dak Prescott. I think Dak Prescott's a better quarterback than Jared Goff. Jared Goff is not athletic. Dak Prescott's not that athletic. Dak Prescott has a better line. I think I'd rather have Dak for the long run and for a Super Bowl run this year. Ryan Fitzpatrick, this one's an easy one. I'm going to take Dak over Ryan Fitzpatrick 10 times out of 10. Kirk Cousins, I'm going to take Kirk Cousins over Dak for a Super Bowl run this year. Dak Prescott has more impressed me than Kirk Cousins this year. Obviously, Kirk Cousins beat Dak Prescott, but I don't think that has to do a lot with Dak. When your offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, is only 36 years old and is running the Zeke on 4th and 3, I don't think that's the best decision to do, especially with Ruben Burden, how that secondary down up there in Minnesota. But I like Dak Prescott a lot better than I do Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has been had a nice bounce back year, struggling last year. Tom Brady, this one's an easy one, arguably the GOAT. Tom Brady, I'm going to go with him 10 times out of 10, 100 times out of 100. So I'm going to take Tom Brady over Dak Prescott. Drew Brees, this one's closer than you guys think, but I'm going to go with Drew Brees. Drew Brees hasn't really led his team to anything. I mean, he did lead him to one of the best records in football last year, but then lost to the Saints. They had a horrible call on by the refs when the cornerback, I think it was Nicole Roby, ran into the wide receiver, and they didn't call it pass interference. But the thing is, guys, they had a chance to win it in overtime. They did not capitalize. I tell you, if Tom Brady was in that game, they would have gone right down the field and scored and packed their trick to the Super Bowl, but that didn't happen. Drew Brees threw an interception, but I think this one's closer than what you think. Drew Brees is better than Dak Prescott, though. Daniel Jones, rookie, has impressed me early on, but he's kind of taken a couple steps back, and you're obviously going to have growing pains with rookie QBs. But I think Dak Prescott is a much more complete QB than Daniel Jones is. Sam Darnold, I think this guy is seeing ghosts out there. He has a lot of potential, but I don't know if he's in the right room with Adam Gase. He's going to live. His career is going to be all 7 and 9 is his ceiling, which I don't think that's the best idea for Sam Darnold. So I'm going to take Dak Prescott over Sam Darnold. Derek Carr, I'm going to take Dak Prescott over Derek Carr. Derek Carr is having a bounce back year this year, leading the Raiders to a 6-4, maybe a 5-4 record. Derek Carr is okay. He's out of Fresno State, 36th pick overall. But I think Dak Prescott is a little bit better than Derek Carr. Speaking a little bit better, I think Dak Prescott has finally taken over Carson Wentz's spot. Obviously, I thought Carson Wentz was better. This guy, he has his offense this year, and he's really not up to par on offense. He scored 10 points against the Patriots. It was his biggest game ever. He had like 190 yards. He didn't make the right reads. Their offense was dysfunctional on Sunday, obviously with that Patriots D, and Dak playing them this week. We're going to see how good Dak is. But I do think Dak Prescott is better than Carson Wentz at the end of the day. Mason Rudolph, this one's an easy one. I think Dak is a lot better than Mason Rudolph. Jimmy Garoppolo, this one's another close one. Jimmy Garoppolo leading this team to a 9-1 record. Early on, losing to the Seahawks on a last-second field goal. But I do think Dak Prescott, you put him on the 49ers, I think this team could even be undefeated this year. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo does fit Kyle Shanahan's style, run the football, play good defense, not make many mistakes, but Dak likes to sling it. So I think Jimmy Garoppolo is not better than Dak Prescott. I think if you put Dak Prescott on the 49ers, they would be undefeated up to this point. Russell Wilson, this one's another easy one in my opinion. Russell Wilson is a lot better than Dak Prescott. MVP rate in the MVP race right now. This guy is absolutely phenomenal when it comes to the sport of football. Ryan Tannehill, this one's another easy one. I'm going to take Dak Prescott. And, of course, Dwayne Haskins from The Ohio State University. I'm going to take Dak Prescott over Dwayne Haskins. And we forgot the last one, Jameis Winston, the beast, the best NFL player ever, Jameis Winston. 4 interceptions a year. This guy, I don't know how he does it. He may have just a connection with the defense. You got to tip your hat to this guy. It's how the cookie crumbles. And, I think Dak Prescott's a lot better when it comes to football and when it comes to him against Jameis Winston, excuse me. All right, so I'm going to go through every game during Week 11, starting off the Browns Steelers. I talked about this earlier. Browns defense had 4 interceptions for the first time since Week 1, 2012. I already talked about this game earlier, so I'm not going to go much deeper in this game. Browns win 21-7. Texans and Ravens. Ravens won 4 straight games by 14 or more points, and they did in this game 41-7. This offense has been explosive as best. This team has been absolutely phenomenal. I think they're the best team in football right now. Great head coach, great quarterback, great coordinators. This defense and especially offense is scary when it comes to playoff time. Falcons and Panthers. The Falcons took down the Panthers 29-3. Falcons have 4 straight wins versus Panthers. They have won the last 7 of 8. This Falcons team saying they're not out of it. Defense has been much up to par. Dan Quinn's job might be saved. I don't think Dan Quinn's a bad coach whatsoever. I think he's been put in a bad system this year with all the injuries they've had. But they've been absolutely fantastic the past couple of weeks, and if they keep it up and they go 9-7, that might even be a wild card spot for this Falcons team. But it's a tough place to play in the NFC with all those teams down there like San Francisco, Seattle, and all those guys. Cowboys and Lions. Cowboys took care of business, 35-27. Dak Prescott, here's a fun stat for you, as we were just talking about Dak Prescott. He has 38 wins since 2016. That only trails only the GOAT, Tom Brady, which is pretty good, pretty impressive if you ask me. The Cowboys take care of business. Defense, a little question mark, but I think the offense will rally about that. They got a tough matchup coming up against Tom Brady and the Patriots this week to see how really good this team is. And when it comes to playoff time, how will they fare against good teams in the NFL? Jaguars and Colts. Colts won 33-13. They like to run the ball. They had 264 rushing yards, the most since Week 11, 2004. That Peyton Manning was on that team, but they love to pound the football. Marlon Mack went down. Jonathan Williams came in. Jordan Wilkins came in. Jacoby Brissett was back for this week, and they got a much-needed win. They play Thursday night tonight versus Texans in a big division game. Jaguars fall to 4-6 with Nick Foles coming back. The Bills and Dolphins. Bills, as I like to say, taking care of business. 37-20. Dolphins have impressed me the past couple weeks, but they're not going to beat a team like the Bills. Too disciplined the Bills are, and Josh Allen had a pretty good day. John Brown had 2 receiving TDs. That ties his career high. Josh Allen had a couple rushing touchdowns. This Bills team struggles offensively, but defense, they are deadly. Minnesota Vikings and Broncos. Minnesota scared you in the first half, but they came back to prime Minnesota in the second half, and I think that shows that they're a great football team. They didn't play their best first half, but I think they came back. They found themselves in the second half and got a much-needed win at home versus Broncos, 27-23. It was a 20-point comeback and is tied 4th largest in franchise history for the Minnesota Vikings, and that proves that they are a great football team. The Saints and Buccaneers. The Saints won this game 34-17. You expected this. Bucs struggled. James Winston has 4 picks today. Drew Brees took care of business. Michael Thomas is the first wide receiver with 90 receptions in the first 10 games of the season. He has been absolutely phenomenal this year. The Saints team, with their improved defense over the past couple of years, they could be a team to watch for when playoffs come running by. The Jets and Redskins, this is what I like to call a tank bowl. Both teams trying to get a better draft pick, and the Redskins succeeded with that. Jets won 34-17. Sam Darnold looking more comfortable in the NFL. He's reading the defenses better. He's not seeing ghosts out there. He's 3-1 against NFC East teams, 0-6 against all other opponents, so that shows you Sam Darnold's gotten off to a rough start, to say the least, this year. But I think he's maybe found his rhythm. He hasn't hit his full potential yet. Still got a lot of developing to do, and that's all on Adam Gase, the head coach, that they put all of his trust in. 49ers and Cardinals. 49ers, you usually think of the 49ers, Kyle Shanahan, you think of good run, put Kyle Juszczyk in, but no, exact opposite. They had 408 passing yards. It was the most since Week 13, 1999. Deebo Samuel had a big game. Jimmy Garoppolo had a big game. The Cardinals did impress me. And if you're a bettor, I kind of feel bad for you, as a Niner scored on the last play of the game. And if you had the under, you had the over, you had the -7.5, whatever the spread was. Kyler Murray did impress me with his legs today, but it wasn't good enough to beat the 49ers. They moved to 9-1 in that division. The Bengals and Raiders. The Raiders beat the Bengals, taking care of business at home. A little scary in the first half. Max Crosby, the Raiders rookie from Hard Knocks, he broke his hand early in the preseason, played through it, which shows a lot of skill and balls on this guy. They ended up winning 17-10. Max Crosby had 4 sacks, most by any Oakland player since Week 14, 2015. I imagine that was Khalil Mack. Don't fact check me on that one. Patriots and Eagles. Patriots won this game 17 22-10. The Eagles fought hard. Nelson Aguilar dropped a touchdown on the last play of the game, but the Patriots defense was too good for the Eagles to handle. The offense for the Patriots wasn't up to par, but it was good enough to win them that game and eventually move to 9-1. The Patriots have 5 of their last matchups decided by one possession, including the playoffs. The Bears and Rams. The Rams took care of business at home, going to 6-4, especially in that tough division. It was a good win for the Rams. They won 17-7. Mitchell Trubisky and the Bears dropped 4-6. Todd Gurley had 133 scrimmage yards and a touchdown. Good win by the Rams, but they still have a lot of work to do to try to get a wild card spot, maybe even push for a division spot at this point. The Chiefs and the Chargers. The Chiefs ended up winning this Monday night game 24-17. The Chiefs didn't play their best first half at all, but they found their rhythm in the second half. Travis Kelce had a big day. Pat Mahomes had an okay day. The Chargers, they dropped to 4-7 as the Chiefs go to 7-4. The Chiefs have won the 10 of the last 11 games versus the Chargers. Obviously, the last game that they lost was last year when Phillip Rivers led the comeback and Mike Williams had that absolute big day against them. And they went for 2, and they got it, and they ended up winning that division. But it didn't really work out in their favor as they got smacked by the Patriots in the postseason. So that wraps up Week 11. Now we're going to go to Week 12. Kicking off tonight, around 2 hours, I would say, Colts and Texans. I'm going to have the Texans winning this game. I think this one's – when you get into this division – you think of running the ball and consuming the clock. That's not really going to be a high-scoring game. So I think the Texans will end up winning this game. Colts will try and run the ball. Obviously, their playmaker at running back, Marlon Mack, is actually out tonight, I'm pretty sure, with that wrist injury. So the Texans have a little advantage there, and I think they will end up winning this game 19-14. The Bucs and Falcons, I have the Falcons winning this game. Falcons defense finding their groove. Dan Quinn calling the defense, doing a good job. I think the Falcons offense, it hasn't been up to par at this point, but it's been okay to win some football games, and I think they won another football game here. Jameis Winston, I think, will struggle again, as the Falcons, I think, will win 30-14. Broncos and Bills, I think this game will be closer than what people think, as because of the Bills' struggle on offense and the Broncos' really good defense. Obviously, when you go to Denver, you think of Von Miller, you think of Chris Harris Jr. and all those guys on defense. But I think this game's going to be closer than what people think. I think the Broncos are going to try and run the ball with Brandon Allen and Philip Lindsay and all those guys. So I think the Bills will end up winning, but it's going to be a close one. Take the under on this one. I think the Broncos will get there. What is it? 6.5, I'm pretty sure. But I think the Bills will end up winning this game 23-17. Giants and Bears, this one, you could say it's a tank ball. Two teams that desperately need a win. Bears needed to try and stay in the playoff conversation. Giants need it for self-confidence. But I think the Bears will end up winning this game 28-21. Mitch Trubisky, his status is uncertain this game. I think Matt Nagy said he should be fine and ready to go. But I think the Bears defense will be too much for the Giants. And I think the Bears will win 28-21. My beloved Pittsburgh Steelers will take on the Cincinnati Bengals. I think the Steelers will win this game. I think they're going to run the ball with Jalen Samuels, open up play action pass, try and find their playmakers downfield, including James Washington, Deontay Johnson, and all those guys. I think Jalen Samuels has a big day, and I think this defense picks up right where they left off versus the Browns. Highly motivated Steelers team, and I think they will win 24-13. Dolphins and Browns. I got the Browns winning this game. Tough to say. I got the Browns winning this game 31-18, closer than what people think. The Dolphins have played opponents tough this year. Brian Flores is doing a good job, but I think Freddie Kitchens doesn't out-coach him, but out-talent him with the talent that the Browns have and the talent that the Dolphins had. You look at two rosters, you think the Browns are going to win, and I think the Browns are going to win. We both agree for some point. I think the Browns will win 31-18 in this game. Baker Mayfield has a big day, and Nick Chubb has a big day as well. Saints-Panthers, I got the Saints win this game 20-20. I think they'll find a way not to stop, but limit Christian McCaffrey's production. This guy's has, in my opinion, he could be the MVP, but I think the Saints will try and limit his production, and I think they will do that, as they will win 28-20. Raiders and Jets. I got the Raiders winning this game by a field goal, 17-14. Raiders coming off a big week versus the Bengals. We're still in this conversation for playoffs. Knock on wood if you're with me. John Gruden's done a pretty good job. I hate to say it. I mean, I love Gruden. He's done a good job this year. And I think the Raiders will end up winning 17-14. Redskins and Lions. This one's game will be what I like to call relevant. Both teams really don't really care about, but I got to pick someone because it's called game picks for a reason. I can't just skip a game because I think it's irrelevant. So I'm going to do this quick. I think the Lions will coach and outplay the tanking Redskins, and they will win 20-10. The Jags and Titans, another division game. I think this game's going to be close, low scoring than what people think. So I got the Titans winning this game by field goal, 20-17. Pats and Cowboys. We're going to see how good this Cowboys team is and how lethal this offense is in Dak Prescott and all the weapons he has. But I do think the Patriots defense will come away with a takeaway late in the game to eventually win this game 31-20 on a pick six on Dallas's last drive to try and tie it up. The Niners and Packers. I got the Packers win this game by a field goal, 27-24. Obviously, the Niners gotten off to a very, very hot start. But you look at their last couple of games, they haven't been up to par, but I think this game will be close. Obviously, they might have George Kittle back, so that will help with the offense. But we'll see what can happen here. And I think that Packers coming off the bye week, it's tough to go play where the Niners play. But I think the Packers will eventually do that, and I think they win by a field goal, 27-24. Seahawks and Eagles. I got Seahawks win this game. Eagles coming off a tough loss for the Patriots when they had them beat, but Nelson Aguilar couldn't hang on. I got the Seahawks win this game 27-21. Russell Wilson have a big day. I got the Ravens and Rams. I got the Ravens winning 38-27. I think Lamar Jackson is going to be too much for this Rams defense to hang on to. Aaron Donald is going to be in the backfield every play, so it's going to make Lamar Jackson run. I think this game will be either a high-scoring game, like a shootout, or it will be a low-scoring game, like 13-10 or something. But I think the Ravens offense is going to make the Rams offense throw the ball, and I think Jared Goff will maybe find his groove, get all those playmakers. He does get Brandon Cooks, and I think Robert Woods back, so that helps for him in the long run. Thank you so much for listening. Sports Hits with Cwit. I'm gonna enjoy the games, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Follow us on Twitter, Steel City Sport 4. Again, that is Steel City Sport 4. So thank you so much for listening. Enjoy the games, guys. I'll see you on Tuesday.
That convertible drop fill, 87 the top pill. Back. You know what it is. Yeah. You know what it is. Y'all already know what it is, man. If you don't, you should by now. When you see me, you know everything. Black and yellow, black and yellow. I put it down. Taylor gang. My diamonds are black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. Yeah.